Hey everyone, welcome back. So today we're doing season 3 of You because we started with season 1 and then season 2 and now we're doing season 3. So Joe Goldberg, Penn Badgley, who is basically the protagonist of Netflix series You, based on the novel series by Caroline Kepnes, is an orphan stalker, hacker and serial killer, but he's also the narrator of our story. Now, if you're at the wrong place at the wrong time, then you'll end up being his prey, end up dead, or even get locked up in his cage.
I've got my heart broken more than once, and things haven't always been easy in my life. But it felt all worth it when I met Love Quinn.
Now, end of season 2, You, Joe Goldberg is forced to move to a soulless, wealthy suburb of San Francisco with his lover and partner in crime, Love Quinn, played by Victoria Pedretti, because she gets impregnated by him and he cannot kill her. Now, this beautiful house is bought by Quinn family money with the perfect American dream. Is Joe willing to sacrifice his urges, his unique lifestyle for a family? Is he willing to love his wife and child, protect them, and live a normal life?
But I was wrong about love, and by then it was too late. We can be together now? I don't think we can. And then I realized who I really need to protect, our daughter. For her, I moved to some soulless, wealthy suburb outside San Francisco. For her, I'd married the monster, her mother. For her, I locked myself into the prison. Not sure I'm ever going to get us both out.
Now, You Season 3 is a powerful critique of urban parenting, anti-vaccinatism, diet obsession, and abuse of fame, money, and technology. A stereotypical depiction of suburban lifestyle and sexism. Joe is now married to Love, and he's now raising a boy named Henry. He is still hunting for more and covering his tracks. Now, Joe views women as objects for pleasure, and he will hurt them or kill them if he feels that they can't be with him. Now, Joe will also get rid of any toxic or close relationships of his lover. Now, Joe and Love share a willingness in order to do anything in pursuit of affection. But Joe's version of that is deeply calculated, while Love's violent outbursts carry in their wake severe consequences for locals who cross her or threaten her marriage with a body count. Joe and Love don't share a conscience, as there's no shame, guilt, or empathy for the victims. Now, Joe's new obsession is the suburban tech genius's neighbor's wife, Natalie Angler. Now, Natalie Angler is a real estate agent, and Love is bored, so she basically leases a bakery with her and to start a business of her own baked products. But her real intention is actually to murder her because she found a box in their basement with Natalie's belongings. So Joe basically has been hiding the secret from her. Now, cleaning and burial of another victim forces Love and Joe into a couples therapy session that with a veiled attempt to, disclose their flaws and anger. Now, who is Matthew Angler? Matthew Angler is a paranoid, overprotective tech guy who has installed cameras all over his place and even gifted a tracking ring to his wife. Now, Matthew Angler is an emotionally distant man, but he's addicted to finding out what happened to his missing wife, and so he hacks all the cameras around town and he monitors his neighbors and friends and family because he's just suspicious of their behavior. So what happens is Love's bakery was like the last stop of Natalie's, and his main suspects are Love and Joe. And Theo Angler is basically captivated by Love Quinn, and so Love has basically a secret affair with Theo. Now, Theo is so infatuated with Love that he even helps her out. Now, his stepdad, Matthew Angler, he's got like a footage of the alley near the bakery where the murder of, his wife happened. And so Theo gets caught up in Joe and Love's web of lies. Now, Love Quinn's second victim is Gil, played by Mackenzie Aston, and he's a dorky neighbor who basically just drops by at the bakery to confess that his unvaccinated kids gave Henry measles. And so instead of giving him a piece of his mind, Love basically clubs him over his head and she knocks him out and then puts him in the cage. Now Gil is in Joe's plexiglass cage, and Love and Joe can't let him go because otherwise he will just go to the authorities and inform them. So now Love Quinn basically hires a private detective to find out some dirt on Gil and his family, and she found out that Gil's son Alan sexually assaulted a girl at college, and when Gil finds out, he's so crushed that he commits suicide right there in the cage. And now Joe is shell-shocked while Love shifts into damage control mode a little too quickly. They frame him for Natalie's murder and with a suicide letter. Now Marienne Bellamy, played by Tati Gabrielle, she's a librarian in the suburbs, and Joe gets a job at the library by using his book cover skills by forging an original book. And after Natalie's murder, Marienne Bellamy becomes Joe's next you. Now, Marienne is a strong, intelligent woman underneath her closed-off exterior with a past abusive boyfriend and a young daughter who's the light of her life and wants to protect her and give her a good life. She displays a more vulnerable side that wants to reform her ways and always be there for her daughter. Marienne is a keen observer of the neighborhood's denizens, too savvy in the ways of the real world to be taken in by patrons' privilege and oblivious entitlement. And if there ever is, even for a fleeting moment, a tiny voice in your head, and that tiny voice is telling you, I deserve better, listen to her. That's your partner, that's your true love. And if you betray her long enough, you will lose her. Now, Joe Goldberg is captivated by, Marianne's presence and becomes firmly committed to her, neglecting his marriage with Love. Joe reading books to his son Henry shows that Joe is not devoid of empathy. He wants to feel a connection with Henry. Now, Marienne Bellamy shares a love of illustrating children's books with Joe, and he encourages her to pursue her work, eventually even submitting some of her drawings without her permission. Now, while Joe is searching her office, he finds out that she's a recovering drug addict and she's been charged with child endangerment and neglect. She's fighting a custody battle with her ex Ryan, and this leads Joe to stalking her ex and finding a way to get rid of him. Now, Sherry and Kerry Conrad are the suburban couple with twin daughters. So Sherry is a mom influencer, and it's the original mean girl who pretends to invite Lovekin into her elitist social circle, but underneath her insecurity, there's a pragmatic person who can be a loyal and true friend. Now, Kerry Conrad is a wealthy, charismatic person who is like self-proclaimed masters of self-optimization, and he owns his own supplement company. So he invites Joe into his inner circle, and Joe starts hanging out with him and his friends. It's always the husbands, they force us into these shapes and we break. Now, Joe hilariously refers himself to be a serial monogamist, aka serial killer, who feels that in order to save his dying marriage, an open relationship is the key. Now, the swinging act with Sherry and Kerry Conrad is another twisted episode where Love and Joe willingly devour ecstasy and hallucinate, while Love is in an argument, ends up confessing to Natalie's murder, and so the night ends up in another brutal act of violence and the Conrad couple being locked up in the cage vault. Now, in the end, Love becomes Joe's rival. Joe shifts his focus from Marienne to saving his son Henry from Love's violence, and Henry becomes a representation of Joe as a child, whom he now must prevent from turning into something like himself. So the visual style of the flashbacks, showing hazy, confusing, black and white, scenes from Joe's childhood, and adds to Joe's death, and explain why his past is so puzzling to viewers and himself. Now, he fears abandonment and cannot accept or handle rejection. Now, You Season 3 is like a depiction of suburban lifestyle, modern marriage with Joe's obsession and Love's violent streak. as they pretend to delude their happily ever after. It's haunting, engaging, and as brilliant as the first two seasons. I would rate it as 9.5 out of 10. Definitely the genre is crime thriller, and I would not say it's PG-13 because there is violence, there's sex, and there is murder. So keep it out of the reach of your young kids. Next week we'll do season 4 of You, which is basically right now the latest season. And so take care and happy reading, happy watching, and happy viewing. Please do like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Take care. Bye.